Centaur, your kind of company.
Tonight on CTV3 News, Belize City resident who knocked down Jovan Ayuso yesterday in Orange Walk also faces immigration offenses after more than 10 illegal immigrants were found in his vehicle. Minister of Health speaks on medication shortages at community hospitals. And the family drama between Lester Reyes, her children, and their father continues. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Wednesday, December 7th, 2022.
Ever since I was a kid, I've dreamt of going to Mars. You can keep my dream alive.
Come with me. You cannot, under any circumstances, leave my room, okay? Only for 35 days.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with
Centaur, your kind of company.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Centaur, your kind of company.
The Qatar 2022 World Cup is approaching. Start date November 20. Live the emotion of each match.
This man is absolutely mainline to pure footballing magic.
Each great goal.
Again, the menacing man arrives.
And each play.
Watch this hesitation right there. 3 players inside a telephone box, and he don't care.
Through Centaur. Subscribe now.
Centaur, your kind of company.
all of this process is not only about beautiful buildings. It's about the quality of service that we provide. At the end of the day, we have our populace in need of addressing their health issues. Today, we have the honor of having this polyclinic inaugurated to enhance our services and to better our services in the Western Health region.
This polyclinic here in the capital city is one that was very much needed, especially as the government places more emphasis on the health sector, especially mental health and a national health insurance. A polyclinic such as this one will serve thousands of residents in Western Belize. There is no price tag that could be placed on such an accomplishment.
And surrounding the central part of the city of Belmopan, we have more than 5,000 residents living in those communities. And we're talking about Salvapan, San Martin, Las Flores, Mayamupan, Rivera. And these residents, coupled with those living and working in the Belmopan proper, are the main beneficiaries of this polyclinic, where an improved waiting area has been constructed, as well as spaces for dental care, maternal and child care, and let's not forget mental health care.
The Belmopan Polyclinic is the third health facility constructed under the BSIF projects to strengthen healthcare services in Belize. This project is in line with the Belize Health Sector Strategic Plan 2014-2024 and Plan Belize of the government of Belize in supporting efficient and effective health infrastructure development. Let us ensure that we continue to provide adequate health services to our Belizean people and for the citizens of Belmopan.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. A Belize City resident remains under Orange Walk police custody tonight after he was detained by police yesterday while driving a suburban vehicle. As we told you last night, the individual is accused of rushing through a pedestrian crossing located on the Belize Corozal Road and knocking down 18-year-old Javan Ayuso off his bicycle. He did not stop to render aid and has been charged for traffic offenses which he has pled guilty to. But that is not the end of the story. The driver of the Suburban is also facing immigration charges, and that is because when his vehicle was intercepted by police in the Uniontown area following a chase, 15 illegal immigrants, 8 of Cuba and 7 Nicaraguans were found inside. The 2 were detained by authorities and handed over to immigration officers. As mentioned last night at around 8 yesterday morning, a police constable witnessed when the driver of the Suburban knocked down Ayuso as he was crossing the pedestrian ramp and absconded the scene. With the assistance of transport officers, the PC was able to intercept the vehicle, and that is when the driver and his 15 undocumented passengers were detained. Yesterday, residents of the west of Belize saw the inauguration of the Belmopan Polyclinic, which in due time will assist in providing much-needed health services to the population in the immediate area, alleviating the number of patients at the Western Regional Hospital. While the media had the opportunity, Minister of Health Kevin Bernard was pressed for comments on the persistent reports of medication shortage in the public health sector. We note that the last report to surface on the news about shortage of medication was in relation to Jaheim Williams, who had been involved in a traffic accident in Ranchita Village 7 weeks ago. Williams' mother, Naticia Williams, said she had to purchase an antibiotic for him in Mexico because it was unavailable at the KHMH. But before she could get that antibiotic, 17-year-old Jaheim died at the nation's referral hospital.
I will haste to answer that there is any medical shortages as per se. Whether I'm not sure what antibiotic or whatever medication was requested by KHMH or the doctors were prescribed, and whether KHMH had it or not. I cannot answer to that. But I can tell you this, from the time we got the tender contracts signed, over the past few months, and I had made the commitment that by the end of October, we would have been ensuring that supplies and medical equipment, pharmaceutical supplies come to this country. There have been some delays. I will not say no to that. Logistically, outside of our control of the country, outside the control of the supplier. But we have been getting medications every single day, and as they come in, they are inspected and they are distributed. Now remember, KHMH, being a statutory body, they also, we provide them a subvention, we provide them medications, and they also procure some of their own. So it depends on the formulary. Like I said, I don't want to answer to say that specific medication. What if that medication that young man needed was not part of the formulary at the Ministry of Health? I cannot answer that. But my comment to the fact that whether it's perceived exaggerated shortages, that is far from the truth. I saw just yesterday somebody sent me an issue from the Western Regional Hospital right here. That's why we are here too. We're going to look at that matter, that there were no sterile gloves, just to find out that thousands of the sterile gloves were delivered last Thursday to the facility. So it's not everything that is put out there is necessarily so. So we have to really understand the complexity of these things. The fact that yes, there have been some issues. We know that we have had suppliers who have been having held back in Jamaica for months now. That's a logistical nightmare that was created because of the whole backlogs and so forth. But we are getting out of that. And I can give the people, the Belizean people, the assurances that in our new tender cycle, which we are about to commence, we won't have that problem anymore.
Bernard says the ministry is working to ensure that the shortages don't happen again. Of note is that the shortages are also due sometimes because of the short lifespan of such medications. Last night we brought to you the story of Leslie Reyes, the mother that lost consent of care to her kids at the Belize family court. Social media was buzzing yesterday when a report suggested that Leslie Reyes absconded with her kids after losing custody in court. Today, in a turn of events, Leslie Reyes gives more details as to why she lost in court.
They call him the fake, just like what I call him now. I learned it from my youngest son. He said, Mommy, he's fake. Because when he's around people, he's the best. And when the kids is alone, that's when he abuses you. When I'm around people with him in the church and everywhere, he's the sweetest guy. But when you're at home, he's disrespecting you. And he treats you so bad.
Okay, so,
But I do have right here from the psychologist. It's somewhere here, the psychologist waiting got. And she even wanted to do it free as well for my kids. We started to pay, and afterwards with the whole situation with my sons, the withholding talk and everything, we have been living with them father. And not only that, he never allowed me to speak to my kids. Like every 6 months, probably I speak to my kids. Do why? Because I can't be a submissive person. I can't obey. I have to call the kids when he said for call the kids. I have to obey him. That's the reason why he wants to have the kids, so he can have control over me. And no more controlling it is.
So now that both parents are not legally available to care for the children, 10-year-old Randy Hyde Jr. and 8-year-old Asher Hyde had no other option than to be installed at a foster home. The idea does not sit well with Reyes.
On Monday, we had a court case, and like where the judge decided to remove my kids because they have a social person where usually, as usual, when she started, all the rest was amazing. They approved to be with my mother and everything. Suddenly, she started to change every single thing. My kids are now doing good in school. My kids is not. That is not true. I have proved that my kids are doing well in school. I tutored my kids.
Okay. And what date or when exactly did you lose custody of your kids?
Well, it was in July 10, 2018. I never did present myself because I said, I'm the one having my kids. I'm the one have my kids. So I said, I just stay in my shop. I don't need to go in there because it was a mediation. I have receipt how many times I've been in the court. A year and a half, every 6 weeks. I'm here, present. And the system is messed up. It's who you know, bias. And I think this is not right because innocent kids. I am so sorry that my poor boys have to go through all this mess because they don't deserve it. They deserve to be happy just like how I'm happy. You happy? He happy, anybody happy. Those kids deserve it. Not because they're kids, you have to take advantage of them and they don't have a voice. Please, they are kids. I'm begging mercy. My kids doesn't belong because my son suffered from anxiety attack. Anything could happen there. He don't want to be there. He wants to be with me. He begs his father for many. Please, I begged the father same way. In the same time when he took whatever, when my son started with early panic, when we find out by the principal, I begged him to send my children to me. I begged him. And he said no, because I deserve to punish because I left him. No, he decided to treat me so badly, abuse me. I want to know if any woman out here would tolerate a man, they abuse them. But I swear to God, I would never in my mind think that he would abuse his own kids. But you know why? He's a preacher. And a preacher will cover up because he preached wonderful in church, that's why nobody believed, none of us.
And while the father of the children claims that one of them suffers anxiety attacks because he is not with both his parents and that the children were being physically abused by Reyes, today Reyes refuted those comments.
That is not true. I had never, ever touched my kids. Everybody who knows me know that I always had my kids in the shop, dropped them off, picked them up. The abuser is Mr. Hyde. Randy Hyde, Sr., he's the abuser. And the letter is when he already started abusing my kids in 2018. Like ending of 2018, he started abusing my kids. And 2019, 2020, that's when my son suffered a panic attack because he couldn't take it no more. And Miss Shepherd, the principal from Grace Primary, know the truth. Please, anybody go to Miss Shepherd, they know, because Miss Shepherd even questioned my son, what's going on? My father leaves us alone every day. We don't have nothing to eat. He goes to the gym, he hang out, and he abused us. And that's how Ms. Shepherd reached out to me. And when I try to reach out to Mr. Hyde, like as usual, he's an ignorant person. He said kids need the mother and father. No. What you need is to abuse me, not the kids, because you don't have no interest of the kids. You don't care what happened to the kids.
So in the section that the letter details that the kids have separation anxiety from him, this is not true.
That is not true. My kids have anxiety is because of the abuse what he been doing, because I had anxiety as well when he used to abuse me. And I have proved that in my shop different clients witnessed that when I ran across the street, the Siente Melissa flowers, everyone they noticed when he went in there and abused me.
One thing is certain, Randy Hyde Jr. and Asher Hyde are tonight at a foster home and will have to adapt to the changes rather fast. Coming up next, the Belizean journalist heads to top media training school. Stay tuned.
Win big with Shell! Shell is giving away over $20,000 in prizes this Christmas. One lucky customer will win $6,500 in fuel, plus over 40 customers will win either $150 in fuel vouchers or $500 in cash. To enter, spend $40 Belize or more in fuel. Complete the entry form and drop it in the boxes provided. Fuel up with Shell this Christmas for your chance to win. Promotion runs from November 21 to December 31, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. Visit solpetroleum.com/winbig with Shell for more details. Shell trademarks are used by Sol Brands Incorporated under license from Shell Brands International AG.
John Saldivar, he has been on the news and on social media as of lately after the powerful USA revoked his and his family's US visas. The reason? Well, the USA's State Department is convinced that they have filed enough documentation that has added up to corruption and abuse of power by John Saldivar while he was a minister of government under the Barrow administration. For that, a special committee in the UDP was formed to decide the party's position on Saldivar and Shine Barrow. His leader has removed him as the caregiver of the UDP in Bamopan when the special committee decided that Saldivar is not fit to run under the UDP in Bamopan. As is, Saldivar remains the topic of discussion at the breakfast table, and even his former opponent, Oscar Mira, who beat him at the last general elections, has weighed in on his situation. According to Mira, the U.S. State Department had to have had enough evidence to designate Saldivar, and with that move, politicians must ensure that they walk on a straight line.
It's sad what is happening in the United Democratic Party. I think that for us to have a good democracy in Belize, we need to have a viable opposition. And at this point in time, the opposition is nowhere to be found. They are, as Jules always mentioned, you know, they're dead, they're banded. So it is indeed sad what is happening. I think that we need, and we are proud of having a good democracy here in the country of Belize. But for that to happen, we need to have a viable opposition. And they need to get their act together. And it is for them to fix. With the Saldivar designation, it is his doing. You cannot blame anybody else but yourself. And I think it's for us, all politicians, to learn and to ensure that whatever happened to him or whatever he did, that you know, we are above reproach. And we put ourselves to the electorate. They have that confidence in us. And we should be honest enough to ensure that we represent them well. Represent them with honesty, represent them with integrity. It is not an easy job. We all acknowledge it's not easy, and it's not cheap. It is a very expensive job that we put ourselves to. But as we put ourselves in service of our people, we must do so with integrity. The United States designation is, in my belief, it's something that they have done, not because they have heresy evidence, but I am sure that they know why, and they have the evidence to make such a proclamation. It doesn't happen often. So I am sure that they know what they're doing.
The issue brings to light the need for campaign financing legislation and enforcement of accountability and transparency, says Mira.
We cannot use dirty money and believe that if we put it on a good cause, that it is okay, and it becomes now good money. No. Money laundering is money laundering. It doesn't matter if you put it to good use. And we as politicians, we need to understand that. We need to make sure that we know where our finances are coming from. It is indeed a serious thing, and as a government, I think it is time that we start looking at ways and how, or put laws in place to ensure that wherever we get our contributions from, that it is declared, that it is making sure that politicians are held accountable to whatever money they spend. I am all for that.
Saldivar, on the other hand, intends to follow through all avenues available to him to remain within the UDP. He has ensured a hearing by the National Party Council, who will engage this Saturday to either revoke or maintain the special committee's decision. An intensive 8 weeks of media broadcasting is awaiting Louis Wade Jr. in the United States of America, as he has won himself a scholarship at the CSB Media Center, which is widely considered the top media training school in the USA. As you can concur, the media normally brings you all the highlights of everything newsworthy. However, few times the media is highlighted. So today is an occasion worth celebrating in the Belize media world. Wade is the first to receive the scholarship, and so much will be expected from him. BTB says the organization deems it fit to provide these opportunities so that more Belizeans can become skillful in the industry.
Today we are awarding the first ever broadcast media training scholarship for one of the media's own, Mr. Louis Wade Jr., who has been selected as the first recipient of the scholarship program. We did some background search in terms of all types of different training. Actually, we started looking for a journalism-specific theoretical training, right? But what we realized is that the theoretical part, if you don't match it with a practical part, then it's not as impactful. So the one thing with CSB Media Center is that they have a great mix of theoretical, but they incline more towards the practical. They they literally are going to work in a studio. They go, and as I was mentioning before to Mr. Wade, they will have internships where they'll be able to go to see how the big boys do it. You know, the ESPNs and the NBCs that in their affiliates there in Florida. So we like that approach. We like the approach that they provide a practical sort of entry into what broadcast media is. But we also like that their instructors are actually people that work in the media, like yourselves, that have been in the sector for 20, 30 years, that bring a lot of a wealth of experience of what to do, and the little tricks of the trade, that what have you. And then thirdly, what we liked of the CSB Media program is that they also engage into what are the current and the current trends in media. So Mr. Wade will also be introduced not only in sort of on-camera broadcast media. They will also train him in how to do proper podcasts, how to do proper digital streaming. He will be trained in how to use the Adobe suite of software for all the way from design to production. And so it is really a comprehensive and well-rounded program that they provide. Today, we are culminating a process that started in August. In August, we launched a call for applications for this scholarship program, which will take the successful candidate, Mr. Louis Wade Jr., away from his company for about 8 weeks, where he will be engaging in an extensive and intensive training in broadcast media in the United States. We have partnered with a very well-known media training center that's all across the US, but in particular the one in in Palm Beach, Florida. And they will be the ones that will be hosting Mr. Wade early next year.
A thoughtful yet excited Louis Wade Jr. says he is thankful for the opportunity given to him as he continues to become better at his journalism job.
I've been to Africa this year to cover news stories. I know I'm going to Miami on a scholarship. I'd like to thank God, thank the BTB for this opportunity, thank my news station for giving me the time off to go and do this, and I look forward to this journey. Although it sounds tedious, but I'm pretty sure it'll be fun. Being one of the youngest in this field in Belize, there's a lot for me to learn because I'm just 24 years old. I started news maybe when I was 20 years old. So I'm very young in it. Well, I feel young. I don't know if 24 is young, but I feel young. I know that news is fluid, it's constantly changing. I mean, there's new ways of interpreting data. There's TikTok now, there's Instagram Reels, there's podcasting that's kicking off, there's YouTube streaming. There's a whole lot that can be done in Belize that we're not doing. And I feel that being young, I'm in a good spot to tell stories that my generation needs to tell and stories that my generation needs to hear as well. And I think that those stories can only be told from a young perspective. So I'm excited to bring that part of it to Belize.
It is the first scholarship of its kind under the tutelage of the BTB. However, in order to secure the scholarship, an entire application process with its requirements had to be met. The scholarship is inclusive of tuition, airfare, accommodations, and meal allowance valued at $42,000.
We received in this first sort of go around in this scholarship program 4 applications. They had to provide a series of documentation. They had to write an essay as to why is it that we should consider them for this scholarship. And they also had to get a commitment from their company to say that the company commits to sending them for an extensive period of time away from their job. So we were glad that we were able to get those applications, and after the vetting process and the selection process was completed, we wanted to congratulate Mr. Louis Wade Jr. for being the first ever selected under this scholarship program.
In order to successfully complete the program, Louis Wade Jr. will need to be attentive in class as he will have to culminate tasks and projects assigned to him during his 8-week training. The BTB plans to carry out the program annually. The government of Belize is the recipient of the prestigious award for Sovereign Reconstructing Deal of the Year at the Bonds and Loans Latin America and the Caribbean Awards on November 30, 2022 in Miami, Florida. Mrs. Beverly Wade, Director of the Blue Bonds and Finance Permanence Unit in the Office of the Prime Minister, accepted the award on behalf of the government of Belize. This is the 3rd award received by the government of Belize for its historic and successful restructuring of the Super Bond through an innovative debt conversion agreement with the Nature Conservancy, TNC, to reduce debt burden while investing in marine conservation. This restructuring translated to an overall debt reduction of $250 million, debt servicing savings of $250 million, and an estimated $180 million to support the conservation and responsible use of Belize's marine resources. Belize previously received awards for innovation, bond structure sustainability bond, and Sustainability Bond of the Year Sovereign from Environmental Finance. The selection process involved a close examination of deal size, tenor, structure, and distribution, as well as analysis and background of the borrower and their accessibility to financing, with extra credit for those deals demonstrating high-quality execution, accessing new pools of liquidity, innovative structuring, and opening up of new markets. Since 2015, the Bonds and Loans Awards has been recognizing the most innovative and groundbreaking deals from sovereign, corporate, and financial institution issuers and borrowers. The awards have been acclaimed as the world's leading Pan-American and Caribbean debt event, bringing together the industry's most high-profile figures and creating an opportunity to raise the profile of the financial markets with the international investment community and to inspire future issuance by Latin American and Caribbean companies. Honorable Christopher Coye, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment, was invited to speak at the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development's 13th Debt Management Conference in Geneva, Switzerland, on the topic of relief, restructuring, and recovery, dealing with debt in times of global crisis. Minister Coye was among 400 participants from over 100 countries. He shared Belize's recent success in negotiating debt relief in the current international debt architecture, noting that Belize's successful $364 million blue bond transaction in 2021 was only a part of the overall emergency economic plan and debt relief strategy. He emphasized that as unpopular as some of the administration's fiscal policy decisions were, the political discipline to stand by these decisions paid off handsomely in Belize's negotiations for debt relief with its external commercial creditors. The International Monetary Fund endorsed such demonstrated commitment to prudent fiscal policy. The Minister of State further explained that mobilizing private capital will not be possible without credit enhancement and risk reduction strategies, coupled with the confidence endangered by the political will and discipline of the government of Belize in its fiscal policy action. He also highlighted some of the difficulties countries like Belize encounter in seeking to sustainably manage their debt. This includes the persistence of arbitrary and exclusionary rules amongst multilateral development banks and a failure to account for multidimensional vulnerabilities. These effectively prohibit small, vulnerable economies like Belize to access debt relief and concessionary financing from particular programs and institutions. External private capital can be an important source for development and climate finance, but due consideration must be given to the special circumstances of developing economies that are inherently perceived to be at higher risk if they are to be timely, affordable, accessible, and debt-friendly source of finance for developing economies. Risk reduction and credit enhancement for investment grade rating of debt issuance and critical drivers to achieve affordable and accessible private capital for developing economies. Insurance can be useful for risk reduction, but discussions on insurance as a solution should involve the establishment of catastrophe risk insurance instruments as global public good rather than as an instrument for profit making. In conclusion, Minister Coye called for a reimagining and restructuring of the global financial architecture to ensure that developing economies are enabled with the necessary and sufficient tools to achieve climate and economic resiliency. He appealed to the global community to be bold in ensuring this materializes and to not fail the people we represent or future generations. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, December 8th, here on CTV3 and Face FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at CTV3BelizeNews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at Facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.